Roads are everywhere in Guild Wars 2. When you look at the road map, you can see just how interconnected each place in Tyria is. You can walk from Ebonhawk to Radasum without leaving a paved, structured road. Cantha has roads, Ilona has roads, there are roads in the mists, and in this video, I want to go over my top 10 favorite roads in all of Guild Wars 2. Let's get started. In the number 10 spot are the Crystal Oasis roads. This is a 3-for-1, but all of them are pretty similar and are in the same map, so I thought I'd throw them together. Where you have the Crystal Oasis, which is the first zone in the Path of Fire expansion. On the western end of the zone, you have the free city of Amnoon. Near the waypoint, you have a road that heads north, a road that heads east, and a road that heads south. Where the road from the north is how most players get to Amnoon for the first time during the first mission in the Crystal Desert. Where I love coming out of the quarry, jumping over the gap where the ruined bridge is, and following the road to see Amnoon for the first time. But taking either of the two roads will take you out into the greater parts of the Crystal Oasis. The east one will take you through the Amnoon fields and over towards the Temple of Cromir, and the south one will bend eastwards as well and head east parallel to the other road and take you through the Amnoon southern outskirts and all the way to Destiny's Gorge. Where a really fun part about these two roads is that each one has a way station that the Cavaliers operate out of and are small fortresses in the desert. Where I love the vibes of going down these two roads out into the desert at large, where you can find some safety from the way stations when you're leaving Amnoon behind you as you head down the roads that a bunch of refugees are using in order to escape from where you are going. And the number 9 spot is the Ogre Road. This is kind of an interesting road to throw on this list because it's more of a general area compared to a specific road. Where in the Fields of Ruins, we can find Foul, Bear, Craw, and all the other ogre settlements in this area of the road. Where the ogres here play a massive part in this zone's story and some historical events that have occurred in this area of the road. Whereas you come through the Ogre Road, you will be surrounded by a variety of different areas important to the ogres, where this area marks an important passage between various ogre camps. On top of all that, this road also marks an important passage between the humans' stronghold of Ebonhawk and the Char's Deathblade's Watch, where these are two massive strongholds, where massive may be an understatement when referring to Ebonhawk, located in this zone. Where of course, the human and Char conflict is as old as the Guild Wars franchise itself, where the stories going on here are some of the best across the entirety of the game and are some of the most important. Where having these two massive strongholds facing each other, especially now that we are in a time of relative peace, is really cool. We're going down a bit of a nostalgia trip. I have a very fond memory of leaving Ebonhawk for the first time and coming through the Ogre Road to then eventually find Deathblade's Watch. And the number 8 spot is the new Kaineng City Canals. This is another interesting idea to throw on this list because these aren't roads. But I guess I could point out all the different roads going through New Kaineng City, where most of New Kaineng City is a metropolis-based map or a concrete jungle if you will, where almost everything is connected to each other via pavement. But all throughout the map are these canals which allow Canthans and adventurers to navigate through the map using their skiffs or anyone who has an imported skimmer, where canals are basically just roads for boats. And I love hopping on my skiff and driving it all throughout the map. Anyone who has completed the fishing achievements in this zone should have an appreciation for how all of the waterways are connected and the tunnels that allow you to drive from inside the city to the ocean on the western side of the map, where you also drive through the canals in the story and also while you do a variety of different events. And I have such a deep appreciation for the uniqueness of this zone and how it is designed. And while there may be some shortcomings to making the zone feel like a dense city, the inclusion of the canals is a phenomenal addition. And the number 7 spot is the road through Orr. Again, this is another kind of weird idea to put on this list because this is kind of an idea. Whereas the pact formed during the personal story, they founded the massive stronghold known as Fort Trinity on the edge of the Steamspur Mountains overlooking Orr. Where from this established point, the pact forces are moving across Orr via land, air, and water, launching a full-on siege upon Seitun's domain, where starting from Fort Trinity, you have both an idea and a very literal thing. A push, a march, a road through this kingdom from Fort Trinity to the heart of Seitun's domain and the ancient seat of Orrian power in the ruined city of Arra. Where yes, this is a very literal thing. You have an entire road system from Fort Trinity that you can follow through the Straits of Devastation into Malcor's Leap and into the Cursed Shore, where you have many different events that take place along this road in each of the 3 maps. And you have a variety of different pack camps, some you have to take control of as you push down this road all the way to Arra. Where this is also a very cool idea, where you have the entire campaign through Orr where you're maneuvering across these dangerous lands and attempting to claim what ground you can. There's roadblock after roadblock, skirmish after skirmish, but eventually you reach Arra. And the number 6 spot is the Thunderhead Peaks roads, where I have a very specific road in mind and a bit of an offshoot of that road, where Thunderhead Peaks is a map that I recently talked about in my top 10 mountains, and a lot of the same ideas that I talked about there are the same here, where this map is a massive mountain-based map Starting in the ice flow in the southern part of the map, you can work your way up and up the mountain until you eventually reach Thunderhead Keep, where more specifically, you can start from the dredge camp of Refiner's Joy and follow a very structured road up the mountain, through the Delgamore ruins and into Thunderhead Keep, where overall, I just absolutely love this ascent because of how it feels like you are climbing up a mountain, but it's entirely along a road. It makes you feel like you are walking through the ruins of a super cool civilization, because you are. The dwarves call these lands their home, and they accomplish a lot here. But as you can go up the mountain, you can also go down, where you can follow the road from Thunderhead Keep back down to Refiner's Joy, but this is also a pretty good road that you can use a roller beetle on because it's pretty easy to use in this area and it's fun to go downhill on it. But I mentioned at the start of this section that there is a bit of an offshoot, because partway down the mountain you can find a series of ramps that you can use with your roller beetle to make some pretty incredible jumps, and to get down the mountain faster than just following the road. Thunderhead Peaks is beautiful, I love the aesthetics and the story going on here, and then you add these ramps on top of it, and it all just makes this one of my favorite roads in the game. In the number 5 spot is the Seitung Province road system. This is a much tamer entry to this list compared to the last couple of spots, where basically, I just love the roads. They sprawl across the entirety of the map and you can follow them to get to almost anywhere. Seitung Province is kind of a countryside based map with a few large cities dotted around, where you can take the roads from any spot you're at to get to the monastery, to the Tengu encampment, to the fishing hamlet, to Xindaizheng, to Seitung Harbor, and every other location in the map, where there are a variety of cool parts to this road that I'm highlighting in this video, but I wanted to mention the road that goes across the Bell Passage Bridge, because this is my second favorite bridge in all Guild Wars 2, and it's really fun to go across. But another aspect of these roads are the raptor taxis that were introduced as a part of the End of Dragons expansion, where this also exists in New Kaineng City on the pavement in the map. But I feel like it's a lot cooler in this map, where there are a variety of different raptor taxi stations that you can find all across the map, at particular points of importance, like at Seitung Harbor, that you can use to get a raptor taxi that would take you from that station to any other station in the map, where you can sit back and relax while a raptor would take you down each of the roads in the zone. On top of all of this, there's another fun aspect to these roads that we can take into account, and it's how there's a lot of story connected to them with the Ministry of Transit, who play a big part in a few random stories across the End of Dragons expansion. In the number 4 spot is the Palawa Cut Road. This is a road located in the Desolation, which is the 4th zone from the Path of Fire expansion, where as you leave the Elone Riverlands and cross the Bone Wall, you enter this area which is one of my favorite locations in Guild Wars 2. You have these massive mountains, this large village, a lot of farmland, and more. Where this large village is the Village of Purity, and following along the main road going past this town will take you through the Palawa Cut, where in some ways we can consider this as a part of the same road as the Southern Crystal Oasis road we talked about at the very start of this video. As our road continues through the Elone Riverlands and connects to this road, but I'm going to consider it a separate idea for the purposes of this video. Continuing along this road, you will go up and up the mountain as you pass by the Clan Marshal's Pergola and cut west, where I just love this area because you're going up the mountain with some statues of Joko around you, where you have this section where the road splits a little and you have to jump over a gap or go along this wooden part. And as you get past all that, you will reach the Scourge's Threshold, which marks the beginning of the Scourge Way, where this is the border between the Desolation and the Crystal Desert, and the road here has you going through this transition. A big chunk for why this road is so high on my list is because of nostalgia, because I remember coming through this road on launch day and thinking about how cool of a road it is, and then being surprised by suddenly being in the Desolation. Where on top of all that, I remember guiding 20 or so of my guildmates through the Path of Fire zones and through this road in order to get to the Domain of Vabi so we could claim the Windswept Haven Guildhall. In the number 3 spot is the Shiverpeaks and Steamspur Mountains North-South Road, where this is a massive road that spans multiple different zones and has a lot of offshoots from it. This road starts all the way north in Snowden Drifts at Snowdrift Haven, a line guard haven that has a road going west-east past it that we will be talking about very soon. But going off of that road, we can begin heading south through the Shiverpeak Mountains, where this road will go through the rest of Snowden Drifts, through the entirety of Lorna's Pass, through the entirety of Timberline Falls, and into Mount Maelstrom, where it kind of just ends and goes off in a few different directions, where those roads also kind of just end. But Lorna's Pass and Timberline Falls, in my opinion, are two of the best looking maps in the entire game, and Snowden Drifts and Mount Maelstrom aren't too bad either. Where if you ever want to sit back, follow a road, and take in the beauty of Tyria, you should consider this road. You pass through so many different areas of the road, go across a few cool bridges, see a variety of cool scenery, transition from the Shiverpeak Mountains into the Steamspur Mountains, and so on. There's also a lot you can say about this road being pretty important for the road to Tyria, where this is one of the main trading routes through the Shiverpeaks, as it serves as one of the main roads in the Shiverpeaks, and overall it's just one of my favorite roads in the game. In the number 2 spot is the Brook Road. This is a road located in Queensdale that most players should be familiar with. Queensdale itself has a variety of different roads all around it that connect each of its different towns and major cities to each other, but my favorite is the one that starts at the Brook trading post, goes through the Brook Vale, and goes through the township of Claypool and into the Kessex Hills. Where on the surface level, this is just a really cool road. I love walking through this area and just taking in everything around you. You go across a decently cool bridge, you pass through a really cool wooded area, and you come up to the gates of Claypool. Queensdale as a whole did a fantastic job with making it feel like a real fantasy zone with livable towns and a vibrant community with sensible infrastructure. But there's one aspect of this road that makes it really special to me, and it might sound completely ridiculous to others. There was an aspect of this road that really stuck out to me, and it came to me while I was recording my Let's Play series in this area of the road. Where as you come through this area, it feels like you are walking through a very memorable part of Skyrim. This is especially noticeable if you are walking away from Claypool. Or imagine Claypool as the town of Helgen where you start the game, and you are walking down this road towards Riverwood. You have the stone path laid in front of you, all around you are trees, on your left is a river, to your right are some cliffs. And up in the cliffs, who sometimes run down to the road, are wolves. Some people may say that this is a bit of a reach, but these two experiences feel very similar to me, and because of that, I absolutely love this road. But now for the number one spot, for my favorite road in the entire game, and it has to go to the Lion Road. This is the biggest and most important road in all of Tyria, where the Lion Road plays an integral part in the open road experience of vanilla Guild Wars 2, where this massive sprawling route goes through most zones in the map and connects each of the major cities to each other. Starting in Lion's Arch, it splits off west through the Gendarn Fields towards Kessex Hills, where it heads north through Queensdale and to Divinity's Reach, but also splits south through Caledon Forest and the Metriker Province to reach the Grove and Radissum. But it also heads east to follow a similar route the Ascalonian refugees took over 250 years ago, going through the Snowdon Drifts and into the Wayfarer Foothills, where it splits south to Hoperak and continues east into Diasa Plateau, where it goes to the Black Citadel. And interestingly enough, there's another little bit that goes south of Lion's Arch to Marshwatch Haven and Bloodtide Coast, where Marshwatch Haven is one of the many different havens that you can find along the Lion Road, where this is a very specific type of fortress that are controlled by the Lion Guard, that are dotted all along the Lion Road and serve as stopping points for adventurers, travelers, and traders using the road. Alongside that, they provide safety and security to the area of the world they are located in, where the Lion Guard man these havens and are in charge of protecting all of the Lion Road, where many different havens have different map completion objectives, events, and there are other points along the road that have the same, which all involve protecting the Lion Road. There are many notable spots along the Lion Road that I love so much, like each haven, but we can also shout out the Snowdrift Haven that we talked about earlier, which has a really cool event chain involving this bridge, and the Shiverpeaks and Steamspur Mountains Road also splits off from the Lion Road heading south. But all in all, I think the Lion Road is just a phenomenal part of the game, where from a gameplay perspective, this is a huge chunk of the base game. All the different havens and segments of the road are an important part of that aspect of the game. But on top of it all, it is just a super important lore and story concept that I love a lot. Because without the Lion Road, each of the cities of Tyria would be a lot more isolated, and trade and travel through these different parts of the road would be significantly harder, and I think Guild Wars 2 as a whole would be much worse of a game. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed. These are my favorite roads across the entirety of Guild Wars 2. Of course, this is a limited list, and there are quite a few roads in the game. If you have any roads in the game that you yourself like, feel free to share them down in the comments. If you like this video, consider watching Top 10 Bridges or Top 10 Mountains, both of which are on your screen right now. I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.